Hey, it's time for our helpful home improvement message brought to you each week at this time by Lesser Lumber, Wayne Avenue in Indiana. Thousands of appliance fires occur each year in homes across America. Dryers, coffee makers, toasters. You can be prepared by following a few smart rules. The National Fire Protection Agency estimates that dryer fires are now more prevalent and frequent than even chimney fires in the United States. And we all know how to clean the lint trap regularly, but the back of the dryer needs to be unclogged as well. If you have found that your dryer is taking longer than usual to dry your clothing loads, you could be at risk for a serious fire because that lint in the back could be causing big problems. Fires can also occur by placing improper items inside the dryer, such as foam-backed rugs and plastics. Another cause of appliance overheating is the thermal fuse that regulates the temperature of a dryer, a coffee maker, a toaster, a dishwasher. This particular fuse can cause spontaneous fires if they're broken and not replaced right away. Always keep appliances such as toasters, humidifiers, and coffee makers on stable surfaces and away from drapery or exposed water. It's a good idea to unplug them if you're not using them too. Never use any appliance that does not contain an Underwriter's Laboratory certification sticker. Another way of playing it safe is always check with the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission to see if a particular appliance has had a recall. People at Lesser Lumber have decades of experience. They can assist you with the tools to make your home safe, energy efficient, and save you money. It's quality you can build on. Lesser Lumber, Wayne Avenue in Indiana. And it's Indiana in the Morning on WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. Janie McKirgan is here this morning from the Jimmy Stewart Museum. She's got a guest with her, too. It's going to be cool. Our visit presented by Marcus & Mack, voted Best Law Firm and Best Personal Injury Lawyer 3 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. Janie, good morning.
Good morning, Todd.
And look who you have with you this morning.
I have a special guest. Right next to me is Brian Rohan. He's an actor from California, and he has been to Indiana the last 3 years.
3 years.
Wow.
Wow.
He plays George Bailey, Jimmy Stewart, and character Mr. Kralik in Shop Around the Corner. So he does a lot of work for this festival weekend.
Yeah. So Brian, welcome to Indy. Welcome back to Indiana.
Thank you. I'm still in California time, but fortunately, in the morning I have a face for radio.
When did you get here?
I got here. When was it? Tuesday night.
Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're back for a third year. Think back a couple of years to when you first arrived here in Indiana, and your initial impressions walking down Philadelphia Street.
Oh, well, when I was driving out to California, I had stopped here, and this is going back like 20 years ago.
Oh.
And I think I got here at about 1 a.m. I was traveling with a friend. Got out at the county courthouse just to stand in front of the statue. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I think the local sheriff was like, "What are you up to?" And then once I kind of told him, no, I'm a big Jimmy fan. And he even said something along the lines of, are you family? Because Jimmy and I, same height. They can't tell from the radio. Jimmy and I, same height, same build, and fairly decent resemblance. Yeah. So, so I spent the next day just walking around everywhere. Back then there was the diner that was Jimmy Stewart themed. I could not get enough.
Yeah.
So so I was so thrilled to come back here back in 2021.
Yeah.
Or was it 21?
I think so.
No, 21 was when we reconnected.
Yeah, 22.
So it was 22.
And he actually brought a military uniform and recreated the Life magazine cover.
Oh yeah.
We went up to the rooftop. And we had that, and we were posing, so we did that, and also walking in front of the theater.
Yeah, there's a photo of Jimmy walking in front under the Indiana Theater marquee. So we recreated that, like down to the step he was taking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You sort of like an Abbey Road type of thing. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's a big fan.
Yeah.
And he plays him to a T, which people just love.
Well, what about Jimmy grabbed you? I'm assuming as a young guy.
Well, my dad resembled Jimmy Stewart. My dad was actually mistaken for Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad was from Ireland, but he looked like Tonight Show Jimmy Stewart. His hair went white very early. And people would stop him and ask if he was Jimmy Stewart. So he sounded like Jimmy Stewart with an Irish brogue. And he always said he loved it, but he always went, he's old enough to be my father. So
did he wear the glasses too? The Jimmy Stewart.
He had glasses. Yeah, he had like those with the thick Mad Men.
The glasses.
Yeah. So he just from that, I remember because my dad was also named Jim. So I remember the first time I was like, who did he say? I was very confused, but back then my parents never got cable until all the kids moved out. So growing up, we had the same pop culture references as our grandparents. We all knew who Valentino was. We all knew who Mae West was. And so I learned who Jimmy Stewart was. I remember the first Jimmy Stewart movie I remember watching was Spirit of St. Louis. And and then that was, of course, when It's a Wonderful Life was playing. You could change the channel, and it would be, an hour behind. They were airing it all over the place. So, but it wasn't until I was 18 at my sister's wedding that I had bought a suit, and Jimmy and I was always tall and gangly, but people started, 3 or 4 people that night were like, "You look just like Jimmy Stewart." And I bought the, little pomade for my hair.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's terrific. I bet you the stories you could tell are just amazing.
Oh, very fun one.
People always ask favorite Jimmy Stewart movie. I'm going to give you 3. Go ahead. Give me your top 3.
Okay. I tend to lean toward the obscure ones. One that I love, I was telling you, was Made for Each Other with Carol Lombard.
Yeah.
Because it's a real slice of life movie. It was 1939, filmed at the same studio where they would later do It's a Wonderful Life, because it was David O. Selznick who rented from RKO. And I'm not crazy. I think it goes downhill in the final 20 minutes because they added on a scene. Yeah. Because it's just about a young couple who get married impulsively. She doesn't like the mother. They have all sorts of day-to-day problems. And then they just added a whole subplot about the baby getting sick and he needs a serum flown. And they added that after previews. Yeah. And it's so good up until that point. But I do really love it. The things they talk about are not 1930s things you think of when you watch the movies. Of course, It's a Wonderful Life. I have grown to love Vertigo. It was an acquired taste because I saw it when I was very young. And I was like, what is this? Why is she,
it's bizarre.
Why is she kind of acquiescing to all of these strange things? But it clicked with me when I had fantasies, which I think a lot of us do. I saw my first childhood home was up for sale. And I started having this weird fantasy of moving back in, and my sister still has the piano, and we could do this, and I could do that. I started bringing it back to life. And there was a moment after that I realized that's really unhealthy. That's really sick. If I brought all my siblings over and they saw the house redone the way that we had it, 30, 40 years ago, they would, start recommending doctors. And I realized that's what Scotty is doing at Vertigo. He's bringing it back to life.
Yeah.
So that was when it clicked with me, and now I'm obsessed with it.
Yep.
All right. Janie, tell me about this weekend.
Oh, my gosh. We have so much going on. Well, first of all, the museum is decked to the nines. We're all decorated for Christmas. We have It's a Wonderful Life display back up. We are showing It's a Wonderful Life, of course, every day. We're also showing in the morning the making of It's a Wonderful Life and The Trail to Christmas, which is a GE Theaters short film narrated by Ronald Reagan, and Jimmy Stewart stars in it. And the only place you can see it is here at the museum and at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. Wow. So you can't find it on YouTube. You can't buy it. So it's really exclusive. We also just painted a mural that has George Lasso's The Moon on the wall, and we have a moon with a rope. So you will see George Bailey dressed in the old football costume, and you can come and pose with him at the museum on Friday and Saturday. We also are putting on the Shop Around the Corner, a live radio show. So it's kind of like going back to the 1940s. It's Brian and Susie Tippa, who's an actress from New York, and then a lot of local talent. And that is Saturday at 2 p.m. Tickets are $8. There's only one performance. It is charming. We did it the last 2 years. So
this Saturday at 2.
Yes. So it's a great show. I recommend anybody who has like 45 minutes to spare to come see it because it's a great show. And other than that, Brian will be at the Coney. So he'll have a Jimmy Stewart lunch with Jimmy Stewart on Friday. And then on Saturday morning, he'll be at the Artist Hand for a coffee with George Bailey. And he might be wandering around the streets. And you might be able to get a picture with him at the Tree or downtown. So there's a lot going on.
My goodness gracious. I feel like I need to have you here for a longer segment.
I tried to get it all in.
Well, come back tomorrow. same time because, it's a wonderful thing that you're here Brian, I know the parade is always a big highlight.
yeah.
For this
He's in the
weekend.
parade.
What are you doing?
We will be on a float lassoing the moon.
Lassoing the moon.
It's the Indiana County Tourist Bureau's float. So he'll be there in the football costume lassoing the moon along with Susie, who will play Mary Bailey in a bathrobe.
Yep.
So it's just after they get dunked in the pool
Yes.
from
She's
It's
Mary.
Wonderful Life. So so it's a great float, but the parade's going to be amazing this year. Rain, snow, or shine, it's going to be amazing.
You're gonna have a great time.
Yep.
You're gonna have a great time. My goodness, it's I'm serious, man. We should have made a longer segment.
And real quick, before the tree lighting, there might be a special performance. So I'm just telling people you may want to get down there by 6 or 6:15.
Oh,
I
really?
can say no more.
A little secrecy going on.
Yeah.
There too. All right. Well, hey, Brian, it's good to have you in the studio with us.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
We need to do this again with a longer segment. And Janie, we'll talk with you again through the course of the season.
Sounds
okay?
good. Yep, I'll be back.
Terrific. It's Indiana in the Morning. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160. On a Thursday morning, we're a little bit late getting into Boomer Sports, brought to you by S&T Bank, People Forward Banking.